The trail that shouldn't exist. I didn't believe in the kind of fear that follows you home, that I believed fear belonged to moments, sharp, temporary things. A bad neighborhood. A wrong turn. A sound in the dark that turned out to be nothing. That's what I believed, until the trail that I was 27 when I took the assignment. A freelance wildlife photographer trying to make a name big enough that editors would stop calling me promising and start calling me reliable. The job itself sounded harmless: document a stretch of protected forest rumored to house rare nocturnal species. No press release. No grand reveal. Just proof that I arrived at the trailhead just before sunset. The parking lot was empty except for my car and an old wooden sign half swallowed by ivy. The forest beyond it looked calm, almost welcoming. Tall pines. Soft wind. That golden hour light slipping through the branches like it had somewhere important to be. That I remember thinking how quiet everything felt, too quiet that I locked my car, slung my camera over my shoulder, and stepped onto the trail. My boots pressed into dirt that looked untouched, no footprints, no broken twigs. That should have been my first warning. Even protected trails get traffic. After about 10 minutes of walking, my phone lost signal. That wasn't unusual out here, but something about the timing unsettled me. Like the forest had decided when I was allowed to be connected, and when I wasn't, that I kept going. The air grew cooler faster than expected. The light dimmed unnaturally, like someone turning down a dimmer switch rather than the sun setting naturally. Birds stopped calling. Insects went silent. That's when I heard footsteps behind me. That I stopped. So did the sound that I told myself it was an echo. My imagination. The forest playing tricks. That I took another step. The footsteps followed, slow. Measured. Matching my pace exactly. That I turned around. Nothing, just trees. Endless rows of them, standing too straight, too evenly spaced. I hadn't noticed that before. That I laughed nervously and kept walking, but my hand stayed tight on my camera strap. I told myself I'd leave after one good shot. Just one. Then I saw the trail split. There was no sign marking it. No indication on my map. One path continued forward like it always had. The other looked newer. The dirt was darker. Damp. Almost black. That I don't know why I chose it. Something about it felt intentional. Like it was waiting to be used. The temperature dropped instantly when I stepped onto it. My breath fogged. That's when I smelled it. Rot, not decay like leaves or soil, but something heavier. Sweeter. Wrong. That I raised my camera and took a photo. The screen showed the trail clearly, except for something standing between the trees ahead, tall, thin, too thin. That it didn't show up when I lowered the camera, only when I looked through the lens. That I told myself it was a trick of shadow and branches. I told myself a lot of things in those next few minutes. None of them helped, because then it moved, not toward me, across the trail, like it was pacing, testing. That I took another photo. This time, it was closer. That I could make out limbs. Long arms hanging too low. A head tilted slightly, like it was curious. That I didn't run. That I don't know why. Fear hadn't turned into panic yet. It felt controlled. Observational. That changed when I heard my name, clear, close, whispered from behind me. No one should have known my name. That I spun around so fast I nearly fell. My heart slammed against my ribs so hard it hurt. The trail behind me looked different now, longer. Narrower. The trees leaned inward like they were listening. Hello. I called out. My voice sounded wrong. Muffled. Like it didn't belong there. The whisper came again, closer. This time, it didn't use my name. That it used my voice, repeating the way I'd said hello. That's when I ran. That I don't remember how long I ran. Time stopped behaving normally. The trail twisted. Turned. doubled back on itself. Every time I thought I recognized a tree, it vanished behind me that I could hear something moving alongside me, not chasing, keeping pace. When I finally broke into a clearing, I collapsed to my knees. My lungs burned. My legs shook that in the center of the clearing stood something that shouldn't have existed. An old railroad track. Rust covered. Half buried. Leading straight into the forest that I recognized it from photos, the line that had been decommissioned decades ago, the one my next assignment was supposed to be about, except this section wasn't on any map. I stood up slowly and followed it. I don't know why. The end of the track was a wooden structure. A shack. Old. Weather-beaten. The door hung open. Inside, the air smelled metallic. There were photographs pinned to the walls, wildlife shots, beautiful. Professional, every single one was taken from behind the subject, animals unaware they were being watched. The last photo wasn't of an animal. It was of me, standing at the trailhead, unpacking my gear, taken from the trees. I dropped my camera and ran. This time, something chased me, branches snapped. Heavy footsteps pounded the ground. The whispering turned into breathing, wet and excited. I burst out of the forest and into the parking lot, slamming into my car so hard I dented the hood. I fumbled for my keys, jumped inside, and drove. I didn't stop until sunrise. I reported the trail. The shack. The tracks, rangers said none of it existed. They said I must have crossed into private land. They said fear plays tricks. My photos backed them up. Every image I took that night was blank, except one. A single frame, time-stamped minutes before I escaped. It shows the trail, and something standing behind me, close enough to touch. I quit wildlife photography after that, but sometimes, when I wake up at night, I hear footsteps matching my pace, and I know the trail didn't disappear. It just learned where I live.